Sariri.
Thank you, Mr. Sariri. I'd like to give the floor now to the speakers in the public. I would like to ask you to make brief comments so that we can have the largest number of people possible speak. Please raise your hand. A short question.
Mr. Makan, and the question is, have they found anyone responsible for the assassination of Neda? Are there any investigations open against those, or to be able to discover who was it, or has nothing been done regarding to this?
بله.
When Neda was shot, the people who were there arrested the person immediately. You can even see it, I think. You can see the footage of what happened. It was a man who had an identity card showing that he was a member of the Guardian of the Revolutions or of a similar group. If you ask me the question, I would say that there is not one sole assassin to be credited with her death. There are many. It is, in fact, the dictatorship in Iran.
Monsieur en haut, peut-être.
The man up there, perhaps?
Dear Chairperson, I am very grateful for your giving floor. Actually, I'd like to make one comment and to ask you a question. Actually, we know the simple human rights pact for all over the world is while the person or the nation can speak in their native language and to have a school. Actually, maybe about 2 centuries, 35 million of Azerbaijan people are living in Iran. And simply till now they have no right to speak, to do anything or to go to school in their native language. That is the biggest discrimination, and we can't talk any about human rights issues in Iran. That's not possible. Even during the election process we have many facts that even a very young girl was killed in a fact that she had a flag of Azerbaijan in her bag. I wanted just to ask you, because there is no any analog in all over the world that 35 million people are living in one country and still they have no any rights. I'd like to ask you, what's your opinion about that? Why still none of European countries and even in Human Rights Conference we are not talking about the things that it is almost, there is no analog of such kind of event in the world?
Qui souhaite répondre?
Who would like to answer? Mr. Sariri? Mr. Sariri?
You're absolutely correct. It's not only it's not one ethnicity, it's not one religion, not one race. It's a system that is, purposely persecuting anyone that they consider a religious minority or an ethnicity, any such substance. So what the international community can do is, aside from just condemning these acts and issuing papers that Ahmadinejad himself considers worthless, is to require consequences for their acts. They have to bring about these instances that you mentioned in an international spectrum like this today, and set forth consequences. So acts like killing or torturing or anyone for having a different mentality than them, isn't just passed by. It's something that needs to be recorded, as well as there needs to be set forth some strict consequences for acts like the ones that you've mentioned.
Caspian veut apporter une réponse.
Ms. Caspian, can you give us an answer?
بعد نیستش که
This is a question that deserves our attention. It's true that Iran is an enormous country, and there are people in this country who have a variety of languages, Kurdish, Baluch, other languages as well are spoken in the country. This is not very strange. There are other countries where many languages are spoken as well. Here, for example, in Switzerland, as you know, in the different regions of Switzerland, we speak, people speak German or French or Italian. I think that one cannot say that those who speak French do so to show their superiority. Now, the example you gave us of the woman who was killed because she had an Azeri flag, well, it's a terrible case. Does that mean that the millions of people who speak Turkish or Azeri want to ask for independence, for autonomy? What are you implying, that there is a separatist movement?
Caspian, on va
Mr. Caspian, we will have another question. I'll give the floor to this gentleman here.
Very much, Mr. Chair. Paul Davidson, Progress Party, Norwegian Parliament. I would have a lot of comments to make to the other presenters, but I'm going to meet with the permanent representative from Norway here in the UN in 5 minutes, so I'll be very brief. Last week, I met with Mohammed Reza Haidari, an Iranian diplomat who recently defected from his embassy in Norway. He said that there were at least 20 other diplomats around the world that wanted to do the same, but because they feared for their lives and that of their families, they were afraid to stand out against the regime. Haidari has just recently received asylum in Norway. How can the world community assist the other 20, 30, 40, maybe 100 diplomats around the world in standing up and against the Iranian regime? Thank you.
Voilà. Il y a peut-être d'autres questions.
Are there any other questions? Madam, over there.
I'm Linda Hertzberg from the Danish Jewish community. I would like to ask, in connection with Norway, why is it that we are so quiet? Why don't we see riots in the streets demonstrating in favor of the people of Iran? That's the first thing. The second thing is that I call upon us today to, picture on the television. I call upon us today to make a resolution in the name of UN Watch, and to bring it forward to the UN today and to the press that we know what's going on. And since the UN is not reacting and asking and maybe putting Iran on the Human Rights Council, I think it's very important that we, in the name of UN Watch today, show that we know what's going on. So I call upon us to make a resolution today, and especially with David Suurland in part of it, because he has a big knowledge. I don't know about the others, they might be scared. So that's my suggestion, so that'll be an outcome of this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. David, I think you had a written question about internet. I don't know if you could maybe ask the question that is written and try to answer.
Thank you. I'll summarize the question. It's a two-part question. The first is, if I could elucidate on the role of journalists in relaying information from sources to the general public. I think what the question means is, what you saw, especially in the beginning days of the Green Movement, is a lot of news on Twitter, on Facebook, random messages on different forums, very chaotic. And journalists were even calling us, asking us, is this information reliable, yes or no? How do you find out? The second part of the question is, what can I advise to dissidents in Iran? How can they make their voice heard? These are two very relevant questions. The quotes I showed you from the Twitter username Persian Kiwi, we went to quite some lengths before we even took these quotes seriously, because you don't know. We even had people working for the Iranian government using Twitter to give false information. So if we could get a confirmation from 3 or 4 different people that this was valid, then we used it, then we gave it to The Guardian, the International Herald Tribune, who were, of course, very secure about their procedure as well. On my advice to dissidents, there already are a number of websites, I assume including yours, in which you as a dissident can voice your opinion. A part of the program that my foundation is doing, which I did not have the time to elaborate on, is that we want to be a portal together with Iran Press News for dissidents like this, where they can discuss this information, link it to other websites, but really try to limit the chaos that is currently on the internet and limit it to 3 or 4 main websites. That will be an information outlet for dissidents like this, but that's future news.
Une autre question, monsieur, devant.
Another question, you, sir, in the front.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My comment to Mr. Makan, your loved ones die as a hero of freedom. She put her life not as a criminal. She put her life to defend the freedom, knowing that freedom is a God-given right to all human beings. And she is a hero to all of us. The question which I want to pose is concerning Mohammed Ahmadinejad. Every time, with all these gross atrocities that being committed by him in his own country, in his own words that going around saying to the world that he wants to wipe Israel out of the map, that is itself is a crime. What will you tell the United Nations by giving him a red carpet every time to use it for his own propaganda, knowing that the man himself is a hero of atrocity? The man is a criminal. He wants to annihilate other nations, and he is not an ordinary person. He is a head of the state. To me, Ahmadinejad is supposed to be brought to the world justice and be charged by incited the violence against the other sovereign country.
Caspian, une réponse.
Thank you for your response.
از این روشنبینی شما.
I thank you to be so clear-sighted. Mr. Ahmadinejad will, I hope, be like other dictators in the world who were punished for their acts. I hope that he too will be punished for what he has done. And what you said is quite true. I and other Iranians are very surprised to see how the authorities and other countries accept to sit at the same table with him and negotiate with him. Talk about nuclear issues, for example. The very fact that they sit down and talk with him is a kind of support that they give to the government, to the activities, the illegal acts the government is carrying out, and this is not good. Now, there's one point I would like to draw your attention to. I would like to draw the United Nations and other member states' attention to this. We have a constitution. And it runs counter to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I think it's Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in fact. The Iranian Constitution, in fact, talks about the supremacy of religion. Religion governs everything. Now, this is not possible. Religion cannot govern people. Thank you, Mr. Makan. Our discussion is now drawing to a close. I would like to thank the panelists for their very interesting comments. And I would like to ask you to continue with the section Freedom of Expression, the Key Battlegrounds. Thank you, panelists, and have a good afternoon.